and thank you everybody for coming in.
Go ahead,
And
Wally. Sorry.
Cyrus, don't answer that, but if somebody can guess where I am right now, if you guys can tell me what this building behind me, where's that?
New York
Any idea? Here we go. Yes.
Good job, Matt.
All right. Okay, welcome everybody to Microsoft Teams. And today I'm going to walk you on a short tour to Microsoft Teams. Probably one of the most powerful communication tool right now that we have, especially in this climate. For any organization, we adopted Microsoft Teams at SMC maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We were using it lightly, but it became an essential tool after we became, after we all have gone remote. Microsoft Teams was introduced by Microsoft Office or Microsoft in late 2016, early 2017. And it was a product designed to solve the communication channel in the workplace. Meaning that in the workplace, we have communication as follows. We have phone calls, we have emails, and at an educational institution like ours, we have mail, campus mail, and we have somebody could come to your office and leave you a note on your desk. So we have all those verbal communication among colleagues. So Microsoft came and decided to consolidate all those channels in a product, and it called it Teams. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys here first to go through a very brief presentation about Microsoft Teams. So like I said, it's a product that it was designed by Microsoft, and it was designed to solve those issues: communication, collaboration, and co-authoring. And it's part actually of the Office 365 suite. Last week we did the Microsoft 360 Office workshop, and among the hundreds of apps that in Office 365 is Teams. Teams has already integrated in Office 365. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, okay. And it has the video conference capability. It links to your Outlook calendar. So it pulls all the items, all the schedules, all the meetings that you have in Outlook, and you see it in Teams. You can make calls, and you can back it up in the OneDrive, and you can actually create and edit projects from Office 365 real time. So just quickly to go over those two, the OneDrive versus SharePoint. So OneDrive is, if some of you have used it, and I have been using it extensively, this is where I have all my files backed up in the OneDrive. Instead of using Citrix to go to my office computer and bring my files, I have them in the OneDrive. Very accessible. You can go access your OneDrive in a web browser, or you can download the desktop version and grab your files. You can also share files with other people. SharePoint is basically every time you create a team, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, it creates that backup for that team in SharePoint. So a lot of folks ask me, what's the difference? We're already using Zoom as of now. What's the difference between Teams and Zoom? Teams is more backed up by Microsoft. It allows you to share documents with colleagues. Basically, the highlight, the difference between Zoom and Teams is that Zoom is a very remarkable video conferencing platform. As you can see right now, you can host up to 3 people in a session, and it works very smoothly. That's Zoom. But Teams is, in addition to the video conference feature, it has phone calls, it has files stored, it has collaboration, which doesn't exist in Zoom. In Zoom, once you close the session, everything is gone, unless it's recorded, and you have to go back and go through the recording. That's what Microsoft Teams looks like. The interface is very simple, and I'll walk you through it in a second. that every time you create a team, it looks like this, and so on. Teams, it comes in two flavors. You can download it on your desktop and you can download it on your mobile devices. So I have Teams installed on my iPhone and my iPad and obviously on my laptop or desktop. So the good news about Teams is that if I call you on Teams and if you're not near your computer, you can take the call on your phone. So you don't have to be tied up to that laptop or desktop. You can conduct most of your businesses on your mobile device. That's what it looks like when you download it. If you have an iPhone, you can go to the App Store and download. Make sure you type Microsoft Teams, not just Teams, because if you type Teams, it's going to come up with different products. You type Microsoft Teams and you download it and you log in with your SMC account. If you have an Android, you go to the Google Play and download it from there. And I'll show you the calendar, and it comes with a lot of apps I will show you right now. And then here's some resources. You can learn more by going to learn.microsoft.com. We have free sessions online through the Vision resources available to us, staff and faculty. And for questions, support, and more training, you can contact me. And here's my email address if you want to write it down, or I'll show you right now the fastest way to reach any of us using Teams. So you can send me emails, and I receive, like everybody else, I receive tons of emails right now or every day. So by the time you get to the emails, you take them from the latest and you keep going. But for Teams, I can chat with somebody instantly. I can call somebody instantly. Unlike when you call my office extension and it comes to my voicemail and I have to see it in my email and I have to write down your number and call you back. But in Teams, I can respond back to you instantly. So Teams, how to access it. You start by going to the SMC website, our lovely new website, and you go to Info for Faculty Staff. And once I come to this point, what I always do is I click Expand. And Expand open all those menus for me so I can see the link that I wanted to click on. Otherwise, you have to click and guess which one is which. So you come to the login and you go to Office 365. And because the browser remembers my credentials, it's taking me directly to Office 365. But if it doesn't, it's going to ask you to provide your credentials. So you start with your SMC email address, and then it's going to bring you back to another page sitting on our server, and it's going to ask you for your username and your password. And once you come to this point, you're going to see the dashboard of Office 365, including your email, OneDrive, Word, and Teams is right there. So you click on it. I'm going to show you a few things here in the web version, and then I'll take you to the desktop version that I have installed that I use. I hardly use the web version. So I'll click on Teams. And I brought you here to show you, let me just close this or move this up and down. Oops. So I have so many windows here. Here we go. I'm gonna close this too. Here we go. So I brought you to this web version of Microsoft Teams to show you how to download it. If you don't want to go to the, if you're on your desktop or laptop, you go to the SMC website, Office 365, Microsoft Teams, and you click on Account, and you will see the two options here. You can either download it to your desktop or you can download it to your mobile. Another option is by going to, if you're iPhone, you go to the App Store, Android, you go to Google Play and download it from there. So now let's switch to the desktop version. And that's what it looks like. So once you come to this point, once you download it and you log in, you're gonna see if you have some teams like me, you're gonna see them listed here. If not, you can join a new team or create one on your own. But before I go through this window here, this menus and options, I wanna show you the chat option, which is probably the most powerful now. And Cyrus can attest to that. He just texted me like a couple of minutes before we started the presentation. So you click on chat and you find somebody's name. Here's Cyrus. And I have my communication with him, and I can say, and if he has, oh, Cyrus is here and he's replying back to me. Okay. So Cyrus can take my chat on his desktop, or if he's not, I don't want to say home, but if he's not where his desktop is, he's typing more. He can take it on his phone. So for example, if he's out in the backyard and or out and about, he can on his phone, he can text me back. So that's chat. The second most powerful is calls. So if I know that Cyrus has Teams, and so do I, so I can call him. So all I have to do, just click on call, make a call, and find him. And call him. And if he's available, he'll take my call, like some of those folks here. It shows actually he's busy. He's in a meeting right now, that red dot. But if I have an urgent question, I want to leave him a voicemail. I know he's busy, he's not going to answer me, but I'll call him, I leave him a voicemail. And that voicemail will come to his email. And he'll come back to Teams and call me back. And I can tell him maybe call me in half an hour, call me in 20 minutes, and so on and so forth. So those two options in Teams, I believe that they're probably the most powerful, the chat and the calls. It gets a lot of things done in a fastest way. So for example, if you wanna, the fastest way to reach me is through Teams. You can send me an email, but it takes much longer to get back to you versus Teams. Do I see some questions? Do you have any questions so far?
I think this will be a good time to field any questions if anybody has any of them. You can do it in the chat, or you can do it by raising your hand, and we'll unmute you. But I think Martha Hall had a question saying that calls go out to our campus phones. Really good question, actually. So. Waleed, so if do calls go to our campus phones?
No. This is VIOP. This is voice over the internet. So it's like Skype. So it's an app to an app. It has nothing to do with, but it's set up in a way that if you leave me a voicemail, it sends an email to me because it has my email address.
Correct. Oh, this is actually a really good question from Michelle. Can we call IT help using Teams?
You can send a chat, or that's a good question. That 3010, you know what? Let's try it. I think it finds individuals versus IT. Hold on. Here we go.
Wow, look at that. I didn't know that.
I didn't hear. Thank you for the question. I didn't know that either, but here we go. IT help is right there.
Does anybody actually man it, or?
Yes, somebody's on right now.
Okay.
Somebody's on right now. Right.
Gotcha.
We have the coverage 8 to 5, 8 to 6, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to 5 on Fridays.
Yeah, awesome. Great question, Michelle.
But if you know an individual in IT that you dealt with in the past, or you know this person's name, you can chat with them here.
Right, absolutely. August had a question. So you need a microphone on your computer whenever you're working with Microsoft Teams? I think that's
well, it works the same concept as Zoom. You got to have some sort of a headphone, but if I unplug my phone, I can speak through my laptop. But if you have a
Gotcha.
desktop, you gotta have, yeah, like Zoom, you gotta have a microphone and an audio input to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got it. I think
All right.
and I think we have one more question. Sharon, how do we get the phone feature to show? I don't see it on my pane.
I don't see it on what?
I don't see it on my desktop feature, or I don't see it on the she's unable to.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Cyrus. Yeah, on the pane, Waleed, on the left-hand side, you know, where
Yes.
I don't see phone there at all. I see
Is that
on your screen.
is that the desktop version that you have?
Yes.
Okay, so let's try two things. One is let's go through the web version, the same route, smc.edu, info for faculty and staff, log in, and Office 365, and go into Teams and see if you have it.
Okay, so I just clicked on something to the right. I clicked, it looks like a little phone. It's, and it says here, try a different browser. This feature isn't available yet for your browser. Try the web app with Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome, or switch to the desktop app.
What's the browser you're using now?
I'm using Firefox.
Can you try Chrome?
Okay, alrighty,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
try it, let us know. If not, then either you need to reinstall Teams on your computer, or we need to look into it in your account.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Cyrus.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
All right, guys. So now we looked at chat and calls. Let's look at what actually Teams was designed for. I picked the two that we use the most today, but let's look at Teams or creating a team. So like I said, you can join or create a team. So when you create a team, it looks like this. What about joining a team? Okay, let's look at joining a teams. I'm gonna unhide the teams that I either was invited to, either because somebody asked me to participate or somebody asked me to help out with something and they added me. And then when I was done with my task, they either forgot to remove me or they left me for some reason. So here are some teams that you have available. When you log in, you're gonna see them. There are public teams you will see as well in there. So for example, if I click join a team and I want to create a team, so those, once you click on join or create, so join means that all those teams that you see right now. So I can go browse and see, so there is the SIS steering committee team, there is the Asian Pacific, there is textbook orders, distance education, new faculty ranking, math department, all those teams, they're public. Whoever the owner of those teams made them public means that, public to us, SMC, means that they're not private to 5 people or 10 members or 15 members of that team. So they're open to anybody in the organization. All they have to do, just click to join, and it sends a message to the owner of that team to accept you or decline. So, but those public, they'll accept you. So, okay, so that's joining a team. What about creating a team? So we create a team. Click on create a team, and we click on staff, and it's gonna ask you for the name of the team, and it's gonna ask you for a description that's optional, and it's gonna ask you here for 2 options. Do you want it to be private? Private is between you and the members that you're gonna add to this team. You can actually create a team for you. So I can create a team right now, and I call it my work or something, my files. And I don't add anybody, just me. And it will be hidden from everybody else. Or you can make it public, and that's public in our organization, not the public out there. So create a team, you click on next, and then you're set. So let's see. So let's look at some of the teams that I created for the purpose of this workshop, which is the MS Teams training. Once you create a team, it looks like this. So it comes with one channel. Every team has one channel by default, which is general, and then you can create more channels. And remember what I said earlier about this app or software was designed by Microsoft to solve the communication channels in the workplace. That's why they call those channels. So the default is general, And typically we keep this, for example, like if you have a team for your department, in my department, we leave this general channel for the agendas, any common things that people need to find fast. So we come to general, and you can store files. You can create folders. You can have a to-do list. That's an app that I brought, and I'll show you how to bring apps. To-do list is a project management app. So you can, you add a task and you assign a date, time, and it notifies you. Let's say that in another department or between a few colleagues, they use Excel. They use spreadsheet a lot. You can bring Excel in here. And the way you add the apps is up here, I'll show you. So here's an Excel spreadsheet. So I can come and work on the spreadsheet, and other people, other members in this team can see it and work on it as well. You can actually bring a website. Any website you choose. Here's the SMC website. I brought it here. Instead of leaving here and going to a website, you can just bring it here. Or you can add all those apps. A website, Excel, Planner, document library, Forms. Forms is a great tool for those. We cover this in the Office 365 workshop. It's probably the quickest way now to create a form, send it to folks, collect information. A survey, forms, look into forms. 3 clicks and you create a form, and you send the links to either your students, your colleagues, and so on and so forth. PowerPoint, SharePoint, Stream, a lot of apps in here to add. So this is the channel. Now, managing the team. I want to manage the team. I want to add a member. So I created a team. I am the owner. Let's not add, let's manage. So I'll show you. So I have 2 people. They are the owner, and I have a guest. Owners have the power to come in here and delete and change things. Members, they can come and just review, but you can also give them the option to, like for example, if you need to collaborate with somebody on a Word document or Excel, you can bring somebody as a member. So you want to limit the number of owners. Like for example, if you're the owner of the team, you want to limit that number. You don't want to make everybody owners. So you and maybe somebody else, a backup, or 2 more people, and then the rest. Like for example, if you have 50 people in your department, so typically you're going to have 2 owners or 3 owners, and the rest of the folks will be members. So that's managing team, adding channel. You add one of those channels, leave the team, edit team, get a link to the team, and I'll show you that in a second, and so on. So I have a private channel. That's a private channel between me. Let's say in that team, we have 50 people, but I want to have a private channel with only 2 people. So I create a channel, I make it private, I add files in it that nobody else can see. None of those members can see. The reason why you see it right now is because you are looking at my screen. But if you're a member of this team, you won't be able to see it. So I created different channels for different tasks in this team. And for example, the SMC IT Master Plan. Here's one of the powerful things about teams. So to solve the idea of emails. So let's say that you are part of a committee, or you're in a department, and the department chair sends an email asking feedback or asking a question, and the email goes out to 20 people. So in the morning, you get an email from the department chair, and you look at it, and you read the content, and you send the reply. And then 19 other people will do the same and reply to all. And then somebody else asks a question. So another 20 people will reply back. At the end of the day, you have 150 emails in your inbox replying to the same email. And you have to go through each one of them to figure out which one is which. Okay, what about if there is something to solve that? What if you do this? What if in your team, there's a specific channel, maybe call it a conversation or discussions or something. All I have to do is just right click on it and I get an email address. And I copy that. And I go to my emails and I find an email, any email that you want to share with folks here in your team. And all I have to do, just click on forward. Oops. Let's find another one. I'm bringing all those Zoom invitation. So click on forward and paste in this email address and click send. When you do, it will look like this. So this is an email that I brought from my inbox in here. And it looks like that. So it was sent by me. And here's the email address that I picked up from here. And it looks like that. So that's the entire email. And now I can come here and start replying back or start a new conversation. And everybody who's member in that team can come and collaborate. So at the end of the day, instead of having 150 emails or 200 emails in your inbox, you have all this conversation listed here. So again, that's the best way to optimize the communication and make it easier for you.
Right. Great point, Waleed, because a lot of times we have a lot of emails flying around and we all get
Right.
CC'd and BCC'd on everything. And then all of a sudden everybody hits reply all, then yes, we get a lot
Right.
of emails. And a lot of times they can just be a simple chat like I got it or heard or, you know, saw it. Sometimes Teams is good for those brief, instantaneous, hey, I'm going to go to lunch. Do you have the student line? Yes, there we go. And so it saves everybody a lot of emails, and it actually makes it kind of fun because we get instantaneous messages. So.
Right. Not just that you can do this in Teams, but also with the chat. You can chat with multiple people at the same time. So you can put 6 people in here instead of going to a Teams. So for example, let's say that you're not interested in creating a team and you want to use Microsoft Teams to just to communicate text and calls. So you can come here, chat, and type 4 people's names and send them a chat. Quick message. Where's the, what project are we working on today? Instead of going the formal email, hello everybody, and how are you doing? No. It's a text message, like the text message, like I remember 7 years ago, I texted my son, I said, hi. He says, nobody says hi in a text message. I said, okay, fine. So text messages, quick. It's you need a piece of information, you send it to somebody, they're busy, you're busy, they look at it on your phone, they get back to you. Where is the project? What are we working on? Do we have a meeting today? What happened to the 11 o'clock meeting? They get back to you. It was pushed till 2. Okay, fine. That's it. That's all I needed to know. That's how you create a team, and it comes with the general channel as default. And here's another good news about Teams. Every channel comes with its own files. So for example, SMC IT master plan, the files here, they're separate from the files in private. They're separate from the files in project management. And all those files are stored in SharePoint. So if you need to have a backup, they're already backed up for you in the cloud. But if you need to see them all, you go to SharePoint and you're gonna see a link that it has the name of your team and it has all those files listed there. All right, so typically when I first get up in the morning and I open my office, I access Teams and I click on activities. I wanna see what's happening in my world. And my world here is IT. I wanna see who says what to whom and who did what. So I go through this and I see somebody left me a voicemail, another person left me a voicemail, somebody added me to a team. Do I want to be added to a team? No, but he added me. Okay, thank you. Somebody reacted to my message. So that's like when you walk in your office in the morning and you look at your voicemails and you look at your emails and you look at your campus mail. That's activity. Chat we talked about. Teams we talked about. Assignments, we really don't use or explore because it's more about creating something for your class. And teams, it's exclusive for us, for staff and faculty, not for students. So basically, I'm going around the campus. I trained over the summer. I trained. I only have gone into academic departments, only a few of them, but I'm approaching all of them now. So if you haven't, in your department, if you haven't heard from the department chair about possible teams training, it's coming soon. But I worked with all the non-academic departments on campus, and I get them to work teams. They love it. People ask me questions all the time, and I'm continuing on with the training with the academic departments. If you don't have it in your department, suggest it to your department chair. Recommend that they'll approach me, or you guys, you tell me, and I'll come and provide that training for the entire department, and we'll get you going. Calendar, here's the calendar, and again, it pulls from my Outlook, so I don't need to go anywhere when I'm Teams. I have here's today, and I have this, tomorrow I have that, and so on and so forth. I can create a new meeting here, or I can meet with somebody right now. And then calls, we talked about calls, and then files, and this is just all the files that I have in there, including all the files that I have stored in my Teams. So, all right, any questions so far?
Yes. So Michelle had a really good question. Can Teams receive or verbal dictation? You know how sometimes when you can speak and then it just, you speak into some apparatus on your phone and then it just kind of like dictates word for word. Is there any features similar or comparable to that?
Transcript?
Not necessarily. If I'm understanding the question correctly, can just Teams receive any verbal dictation at all?
Can we unmute that person and ask him to?
Sure, yeah. So Michelle, go ahead and unmute yourself and you're free to ask your question.
I personally haven't used this feature, but
Okay,
I'll be more than happy to dig in it and research it.
yeah, can you dictate your text message so that it types it out and sends it? Say you're on your phone in your car and you can't type out the chat. Can you dictate it to the chat and it go in the chat?
Got it. Yeah. I need to test this.
I mean, not in the chat, but in the yeah.
It's it broke up a little bit, but if I'm gonna try to repeat as much as I understood. You're asking if you can voice dictate the conversation, the phone call, or the text. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't explored it, but Cyrus and I, after that meeting, we could try to see how it works. It would be interesting.
Okay.
And we'll let you know. Just email us or you know what? If you have Teams, just text us on Teams and we'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. So calls also, if I want to call somebody, I'm gonna pick up on him again. I can actually call or video call. So here's Zoom for you. The only difference here is that when I'm video calling Cyrus, I can bring my files and we can look at it here instead of sharing my screen. And he can be working on the same file that I'm working on at the same time. But if we have to do this in Zoom, I have to stop sharing and he has to share his screen with me. So other questions?
Yeah, feel free to populate any questions that you may have in the chat feature. Otherwise, definitely let us know. I think one of the things that I think when we first integrated Teams onto, at least for human resources, one of the really good distinctions that our colleagues made was think of Outlook as like the official communication, meaning that it's also legally traceable. and think of Teams as the phone call, the chat conversation, you go into your friend's cubicle, kind of casual conversation. So while Outlook is still legally searchable, as I understand, like Teams can be super informal, if that makes sense.
Well, it depends how you set it up in your department.
Sure.
So it's right. It depends how, how the department head or department chair sets it up. But it's in my world, in the IT world, it's kind of informal.
Right.
I mean, we get a lot of business done using Teams, but it's not like an email.
Absolutely, because you can add emojis, GIFs, and all the good stuff. And
Right.
even for one committee I'm on, we send some nonsense a lot of the times, but it kind of adds a really good levity to the day. So
Right.
definitely feel free to use the chat features within that, because sometimes I completely agree. Anything you send on Teams is actually faster.
Right. It's a lot faster.
And I've managed to get a hold of people that I probably would never get a hold of during Outlook, and just talk to them on Teams, and I'd get responses in seconds. And so sometimes if Outlook just doesn't work for you, search them on Teams. That's kind of like the informal back channel, if that makes sense.
And if I may add, Cyrus, over the last 4 months, some folks, they called me, my office extension, left me a voicemail. Well, I'm not there, so you leave me a voicemail. I pick up the voicemail, I call him back, I leave him a voicemail. They call me back, they leave me a voicemail. So when I called him the next time, I said, you know what? Just download Microsoft Teams. And I give him the steps that I just gave you. And I said, it's free. Log in with your SMC credential and call me on Teams. And I will find you, or you'll find me. But this way, we're going to play phone tags forever.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So please feel free to download Teams. Try it with your department or your colleagues. You will love it. And again, if you need support, if you have an issue, just find me on Teams.
Yes. So we actually have 3 questions that kind of appeared. So Layla asked, she has a problem with files under share file. Layla, if you want to, reformulate your comment to a question or anything like that, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're more than welcome to. The floor is yours.
Yes. So I go to Teams, right? And then I click on files. And so there is an option. One of the options is cloud storage. I have 2 options, OneDrive and share file.
Right.
So when I click on share file, is a new window pops. And so I have to type my company, right? Wally, am I right? That's because it's asking me to type my company.
I wouldn't share a file here. I would share a file in my in Teams. I would build a team, add the folks in it, and then have them. I don't have to share a file with somebody in Teams. The fastest way to share a file with somebody is through the OneDrive.
OneDrive, got it. So yeah, because I do have this option on my Teams window. It just popped. I don't know if I need it or not. But every time I try to access that option.
So here's my OneDrive. I went back. This is we're out of Teams, folks. So here I'm back to Office 365. This is the dashboard. Yes. I clicked on OneDrive, and I can share a folder. I can share a file. If I pick this guy and share, and I can share it, or I can copy a link and send it to somebody, or I can share it with somebody else.
But if you go to your Teams, not under OneDrive, but if you go to your Teams and go and click on files on the left column,
Actually, when you click on files, you get out of your team.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, so see, it's highlighted that you are in a team right now. If I click on chat, I'm out of my team. Chat is kind of like, it's not part of your team. It's kind of like a separate entity.
I see.
All those folks that I chatted with in the past, not necessarily they're in a team. I remember when I said, if you're not interested in creating a team, you don't have to use Microsoft Teams to enroll people or add members. You can just use Teams to chat or call.
Got it. It's because you have that file option on that left column. I thought that you could use that one too.
In the team, this is your file here, the files that you uploaded here. So if I click here, and now I can copy link and I can send it to somebody and so on and so forth. Or I can download it. But typically the members who are part of these teams, they'll be able to access those files unless it's private.
I see. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Layla. Brent actually asked a really good question. Is there a way to clear the thread of a message? I have messages going back months. That's actually a really good question too. I'm not sure. Definitely, Walid, I'll let you take the answer this one.
I can delete mine or edited, but I can't delete his. Let's see if I can. I can't.
Interesting.
Right. Because
Got it.
it's a right that I'm going to take away from him, from Cyrus.
Yeah.
But
Right?
mine, if I make a mistake or a typo or I say something, maybe I was mean to him one day and then the next morning I said, gosh, that was harsh, I need to edit that. Or, you know, like how many times you send an email and then after you send this, like, do I unsend it? Is it gonna work? I could have said this better.
Right. Absolutely. That definitely does happen. Like I was feeling some type of way that day.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. I never knew that.
Right.
Thank you. So Judy has a question. So what criteria do you use to decide what is appropriate for Teams versus email? That's actually a really good question because I always have that issue as well sometimes.
Sure. I'll show you something. So for example, chat. That's a chat between me and Cyrus. Cyrus is my friend. We can, you know, we can chat here. We can talk about different things appropriately, of course, right?
Mhm.
But in a team, like for example, the 3010, you can create, like I mentioned, what I mentioned earlier, that you can create a chat for 10 people. This is, we have, you know, everybody knows the 3010. That's the extension, the IT support, right? So this is everybody in my department. Sometimes I see comments that I wouldn't type, but that's okay. But in here, I'm being very professional. So hardly when I, you know, give somebody a thumb up or something, no, I don't. I say thank you, being professional. But in an individual that I have a close relationship with, yeah, you have more freedom. So it's, however, okay, and here another way. Let's say that you and 2 other members in your department, you create a team, just between the 3 of us. You could be free with them. But if you have your department chair or a vice president or something, it's exactly like an email. Think about it like an email. You know, if emailing somebody, you know, it's different than if the vice president is CC'd or the department chair is CC'd or 10 people are CC'd. You're just being cautious. So that's all.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to add to that too. And I mentioned the word legally traceable because we all know, we understand that Outlook emails are legally traceable. If you're, you know, if push comes to shove, if some god awful thing happens and someone needs to search through emails, Outlook is the more formal, legally traceable thing that you can do. Whereas Teams, it's not. If that makes sense. I can delete my I can delete comments. I can delete certain things if that makes sense.
Right. But Cyrus, let me just say this to you, a declaration to everybody.
Yeah.
When you're online,
Yeah.
when you're online, just be careful. Don't
Yeah.
type anything that you would regret a year from now. Okay. Online, I didn't say SMC. This is SMC and this is a product of SMC. So this is our workplace. So, and I'm saying online in general. A lot of people, they post images or type chat and then 10 years later it comes back in the media or no. So just be careful.
Yeah.
That's all.
Good answer, Walid. Estella posed a comment and question at the same time too. So I know, and here's a comment. I noticed that when someone writes in the conversation in Teams -not chat that your team's no chat that your team's name will be in bold. However, it will notify you in Outlook. Is there a way
Yes.
for it to notify you?
Yes. And
Yeah.
in fact, if one of you guys created the team right now and added me, I will get an email notification.
Mm-hmm.
It will tell me that so-and-so created this team and added me as a member.
Right.
So-
And I'll do it in between Walid and I right now. So if you want to screen share to our conversation, there is a way that just in case in Teams that say like the person's gone or like they're commuting back home, but you really need someone to look either in the Teams or in Outlook. You can so go ahead and go to our chat, Walid, and I will do this. You can use the @ symbol and then type in that person's name, and it'll bring up their name into the chat
Their
feature.
status, right?
Yeah, and then it will call them into the Teams conversation in
Right.
Outlook as well too. So
Right.
if you just kind of want to cover your bases and say, I just needed to make sure that you just saw this before that presentation tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's how you can call. That's how you can call people into a Teams message,
Right.
or
Right.
send them an Outlook tickler kind of email. This is
Right.
a message.
Here we go.
So,
So
you'll see that the
I get a notification.
Mhm.
I get a notification here, and I got a notification on my desktop, and something popped up on my phone. On your phone, however, you can. Some people they say, "Well, I don't want everything like this to show up on my phone." There is a way to set up the notifications. So, how much do you want to see on your phone, pop up on your screen, and so on and so forth.
Can I chime in?
Yeah,
Yes.
go for it, Stella.
Okay, sorry. So not actually in the chat. If you go to your team, so like click on your team, and then click any team. So there in that conversation.
Right.
So I don't get notifications if someone posts information there. I only get it if it posts on the chat. So sometimes we get supervisors who put in information there in that portion, and then it shows up as your team name being bold, but because you weren't flagged on it, I don't get notified unless I'm actually looking at all my teams, in one, and seeing that it's bold. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Right. But also the @ symbol will bring somebody. This person has to be in that team.
Right, but like if they don't put and the entire department names on there, how else
Right.
would you be notified that there's new information in that conversation? Is there a way to notify you? Because I only get
Well-
notifications in the chat, not here.
Well, if your name is mentioned somewhere, you'll be notified. If somebody used the @ symbol and added your name, you'll be notified. But like I said, you can't bring somebody here in this team unless they are either an owner or a member.
Right, but like I have one for my department, and so my supervisor will put information here, but not flag anyone. He won't put the entire department's names on it. So how can we be notified when there's information being posted here?
Oh, I see. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
It's manage the channel notifications. All activities off custom.
Okay.
So when I first installed Teams, it was all activities. It drove me nuts.
Yeah.
So I went back and I have a custom one. Every single person who typed something in Teams, it popped up on my screen, on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer. I said, that's not gonna work. Yeah.
And so sorry, Walid, can you actually
Right
go
here.
back and go to customs again? What does customs do? Like
More options.
More, okay. And then
Channel notifications and customs.
Because I'd love to see how to customize that as well too.
Right. And that's what it looks like. So you want to see all posts. You want to see mentioned. What do you want to see? You want to see banner and feed, only show and feed, off, and so on and so forth.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you. Are there any other burning questions regarding Teams at all that anybody wants to mention, either verbally or in the chat?
Even if they're not burning questions, if you remember them later, you can find me on Teams. You can chat with me, or you can call me. And again, that's the fastest way to reach anybody, at least in IT. But if you in your department, if you have Teams installed, it's going to be probably the fastest way to reach them.
Mm-hmm. I should also mention too that if anybody's trying to video chat anybody on Teams, you don't have, so some people like myself rely on Zoom backgrounds because sometimes I just don't want anybody looking at like what my background is. Because I think if anybody saw it, they're like, ooh, what a messy room or anything like that. But in Teams, there is no virtual backgrounds. So sometimes, you might get caught with your pants down, not literally, but like you won't have the benefit of virtual background, if that makes sense.
Right.
So if you have like family members, or if you're like working in a very public space with your family or anything like that, just be mindful of that feature as well too. So.
Right. Any other questions?
Estella, Estella, is your hand still raised? Do you still want to ask a question?
Sorry, I'll put it down.
You're good. I just want to make sure.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for attending the Microsoft Teams. And like I said, if you have any question in the future, if you need support, if you need to set up one for your department, text me or call me on Teams, and we'll set something up, or I'll answer your question. And thank you, Cyrus.
Great.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
Sometimes people can't hear me, or I have an echo on my audio. Do you have any hints for that?
Yes, I think it's the
'Cause
Wi-Fi.
this time I kept my audio off, so that, I kept my video off.
I have a feeling that it's something to do with your Wi-Fi.
So it worked